Perfect. Thank you very much. I cannot see the audience, but I will imagine you all in your underwear so that I'm not intimidated. No, just kidding. I hope it's a wide audience with thousands of people listening to this presentation. And I'm going to start a little bit with who the person that I am. Who am I is actually a Linux command that allows you to identify a person by his user ID. Here I will be a little more specific. So as has been said, I'm a computer science professor at UC Santa Barbara. I have been there since 1997, so for 24 years now. I'm also the co-founder of a startup called Last Line that was acquired by VMware in 2020 during COVID. And then VMware was recently acquired by Broadcom in 2023. So I've been, creating sort of industry level solutions for security. And especially at Broadcom and VMware, I've been very much involved with threat intelligence. And I will say a little bit about it. I'm also, since last June, the director of an NSF AI institute called ACTION, Agent-Based Cyber Threat Intelligence and Operation. It's a mouthful, but the basic idea is that the National Science Foundation founds these institutes to sort of work on AI and another topic. My institute is the first that focuses on security and artificial intelligence. It's a 5-year, $20 million investment from the National Science Foundation that allows us to kind of look forward to the new frontiers of AI in security. And I'm also the founder of a hacking team called Shellfish that is a group of people. Initially it was my lab, and now the people that were in my lab became professors at Purdue University, Arizona State, all over the world. And now Shellfish is kind of a conglomerate of around 100 people. And we get together, we participate in hacking competition, we go to DEF CON. Actually, we're the Capture the Flag team at DEF CON that has qualified more than any other team in the world. So we're very busy, doing fun stuff with security. But today I'm going to talk to you about something different, which is our digital footprint. And if you think about traditionally how we used to sort of communicate or transcribe our most secret thoughts, it was in diaries. I remember having one as a kid. And through this, we kind of go through that, exercise of sharing our anxieties, our wishes, our, desires. And we always consider that to be very private and very intimate in a way. Of course, diaries are a thing of the past. And if you go in any mall today, you will see something very similar to this, where people, instead of interacting with each other, interact with one single device called the cell phone. And through that little screen, sometimes the cell phone, sometimes the laptop, they interface with a multitude of applications. And use this application for all sorts of things. They use Venmo to pay somebody or their friends. They use Instagram to share, pictures of food, or they use, Twitch to stream their video gaming. So there are so many ways in which people use digital applications to share their experiences, their thoughts, whatever they care about. And of course, the result of this sharing is a multifaceted environment in which one person, one physical person, in actuality has a plethora of digital personas or digital identities, okay? And so somebody could have a presence on Facebook, on Discord, a presence of another application. And there are people that look at these tools as just ways to contact people and share information, and they don't put any care in kind of hiding who they are, what is their handle and so on. But there are other people that use handles and other mechanism to obscure their presence and making sure that different facets of their digital persona cannot be put together. And this is done for obvious reasons. Sometimes it's done just for privacy. You don't want to share specific things, but it's also true, and especially true in social networks, that often this multifaceted reality allows people to have completely different, almost dissociated personas, for example, they can be in a work environment where they act perfectly properly, but then they want to have an anonymous presence on a subreddit where they're just toxic, or they're violent, or they give expression to their deepest fears or deepest anxiety, or they want to express things that are not acceptable in society. And this is a reality, and it's actually a real problem, because as we know, for example, in bullyism, there are situations in which being a bully, you have to do it physically, and so you put yourself at risk. But online, you can be completely anonymous. Completely anonymous is also not completely true, because actually the little facets of your digital persona can be connected, can be, in some cases, put together in a way that allows somebody to paint a bigger picture of who you are. And this can be done for various reasons. We will soon see a movie in which a father is using this approach in order to understand what happened to his daughter. And I don't want to spoil anything. But this can also be done, for example, for law enforcement. I'm sure that nobody can figure out who this person is, but this is Ross Ulbricht, also known as Dread Pirate Roberts. He created Silk Road, a dark web website where you could buy drugs or even order hitmen to kill somebody. And what happened is that he went on some Bitcoin channel as Altoid saying, "Oh, I tried Silk Road. That's an awesome website. You should try." With a process called astroturfing, was trying to be a user of the site, promoting the site. But then later, people noticed that this same Altoid account was looking for Bitcoin developers, and when they contacted the developer, they gave the rossulbricht@gmail.com account, connecting Altoid with that identity. And then they noticed that Ross Ulbricht has the same kind of interest for a particular economist than Dread Pirate Roberts. And so little by little, the net when sort of shrunk around Ross Ulbricht, and he was captured in a San Francisco public library and sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years without the possibility of parole. So he's in jail forever. And we could do that also in other ways. For example, I can look for Atalia Lopez in a different number of websites and trying to put together things that are, associated with her, and even do a background check. Intelius, for example, allows me to find out where she lived, her age, and things like that, her background. And so this is done with permission from Atalia, by the way. So this can happen. So what can you do when you use the internet in order to prevent this association of these facets and the reconstruction of your digital identity? Well, you have a few tools at your disposal. For example, you can use different names and information in different websites. Use your privacy setting to avoid sharing. You can use different email addresses for different situations. And if you're really paranoid, you can use virtual machines. So these are virtualized environments that are destroyed after use, so no traces left on the operating system. And of course, you can use VPN services so that your IP address cannot be easily tracked, avoid personal information, and so on. However, there is also a problem with privacy. If you sometimes cannot be reached, if somebody has to rescue, it might be difficult to get to you. And for example, we will see all the difficult moment that this father in the movie will have to go through in order to get to some important information about his daughter. And I have a personal friend who was very, very privacy conscious, and she was paranoid about it, and uh, would not give her contact information to a doctor office. And at a certain point, she was actually diagnosed with cancer, but the doctor had no way to reach her. And so only 6 months later, when she went for her regular check, the doctor said, hey, we tried to, reach you in every possible way, but you are impossible to find. And so she was like, thank God, nothing bad happened, but she had a 6 month delay in her treatment because of her privacy. So there are trade-offs. So the important lesson to learn is that we have a digital image of ourselves. We have to be very aware of what we leave behind in terms of footprint and take ownership, especially young people that right now have maybe a very loose approach to sharing their information. They have to remember that the internet doesn't forget. And therefore, it is extremely important that we know which tools are at our disposal, how we have to interact with the digital environment so that we take control of what we leave behind and what can be reconstructed. And this is made even more important because of the increased use of artificial intelligence. So there are patterns that now an IRS agent, in the case of Russ Ulbricht, could identify that are now identified by automated mechanisms. So artificial intelligence-based search tool that continuously try to put together different views of a digital person in order to, for example, target ads, but in the future, do something more ominous. And so I ask you to be very well aware of what you leave behind. Thank you. And please, if there are any questions, I will be delighted to answer them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Babe. Round of applause is coming in. Never forget to hear that. I would like to kick it off by asking you a question. What did I have for breakfast? Seeing as how you know so much about what I get up to.
What did I have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast?
Oh no, what did you have for breakfast? No, I haven't. That would be creepy. So I will skip that. But I could do an educated guess. It would be as good as any other person.
Are there any questions from the audience about Dr. B's research, cybersecurity, or how you can be more careful with your digital footprint? I've got hands in the back. Sorry, I'm just walking out the aisle. Yeah, and you can take the mic and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. I have a quick question. I know you mentioned some great tips on how to protect ourselves on the internet. And
sorry, can you speak a little louder? I have a hard time hearing you.
Yes. So you mentioned a way to protect ourselves on the internet is maybe using a different name and different identifiers. So I'm wondering if your profiles are private, my profiles are pretty locked down, I think. I'm curious now after this presentation. Is there also benefit to still maybe using a different name, even if your profiles are private?
So if I understood correctly, you're asking if your accounts are private, if you still have to use secret names in order to protect your identity. I tell you, having your account private, so only seeable by your friends, is a good idea. But you have to understand that you are as vulnerable as all your friends' security combined. So you have a cousin in Omaha that has terrible security. Somebody broke into their computer. Now they have access to their account. From their account, they can see your private account without any problem. So you have to understand that security and trust is a very chainable concept, where your security oftentimes is as good as the security of the person that you interact with and that you trust. For example, if a sibling of yours sends you an email, say, oh, you gotta check this out, and they put a link, you see that email address and you click on it. And that's because you trust that person to send you fun content. However, that person could be compromised, and suddenly you are clicking on a compromised link. They will have a drive-by download. Next thing you know, you're installing malware, and your financial data is gone. So I think that you have to be very aware of all these possible ramifications. And I hope I answered your question correctly.
Thank you. Getting a thumbs up here. I have a follow-up question for you about, we're sort of in an AI revolution, and people who want to use it as a tool for evil have a lot of new technology at their disposal. Just as an example, one of my coworkers essentially like downloaded a bunch of podcasts instances of our boss and cloned his voice, and then gave his like team update in the voice of our boss, which was very distinct voice, and the AI captured it perfectly. My question is, as a public figure, what kind of things do you do to keep your information as safe and secure as it can be?
Absolutely nothing. So I have sort of, I would say, fatalist approach to privacy. I have several colleagues of mine are obsessed with it, especially in the hacking community. There are a lot of people that I know only through their hacker handles. They don't want to share the first name and last name or things like that. I think that that's a lost battle that costs a lot of mental energy and with little results. If somebody's really after you, they will get your information. So I'm careful about what goes on the internet on a drive. There are certain things that I want that stay only on physical devices written with pencil and paper. Those are the things that I really care about, that I don't want ever to have a digital appearance. Of course, there is encryption that can help in some cases, but most of the time, especially for financial stuff, I think that monitoring abuse of your information is more effective than hiding your information. You can work so hard to hide your information, and there is a breach. And AT&T gives to the whole world millions of accounts, millions of personal identifiable information, and you are part of that. There was a UCLA bridge, and all my information is out there. Everybody has my social security number, address, phone number. It's a lost battle because my security is as good as the computer of some administrator at UCLA who got compromised and whose database got leaked out. So I believe more in monitoring, knowing how your information could be abused, and continuously monitor for those abuses. For example, locking your Experian, whatever is your credit information, is incredibly effective. Making sure that you monitor using various services the combined logs of your bank account, that's very useful. So I believe more in that approach than in hiding or trying to prevent people to get to your information.
Excellent, thank you. So we're at time, but thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Vigna, and we've really set
Thank
us
you
up
for having me.
Enriching experience. We're going to say goodbye to you. Any last words?
Yes, I want to leave you with, there is an interesting Easter egg around 6 minutes in, and I won't be there after the movie, but I would like if anybody can identify the Easter egg, I would like to receive an email from Alita say, somebody did, and what the Easter egg is around the 6th minute into the movie.
Thank you for that. We'll be on the lookout. Have a lovely
All right.
evening in beautiful Santa Barbara, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.